Good evening. I call to order the Lake Havasu City Council regular meeting on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. We'll have an invocation from Father Tony from Our Lady of the Lake Roman Catholic Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Cindy Ritter with Military Moms. Father Tony?
May we begin this invocation in the name of God, the Father, the maker of heaven and earth, and of his Son, Jesus Christ, the Redeemer of the world, and of the Holy Spirit, the power that animates and sustains the universe. Our loving God, we thank you today for this opportunity to gather and for the privilege you gave me to be in this assembly. We thank you for the gift of life, of our great country, America, our state, Arizona, and our city, Lake Havasu. We thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed on us as a city, the many wonderful men and women who make countless sacrifices for the good of all, and all those who bear the responsibility of handling the affairs of our city. Almighty God, we thank you for the many wonderful things that make us known and proud as a city. The beautiful lake, the London Bridge, places of worship, exotic restaurants, a friendly environment, and above all, nice people. We also thank you immensely for the absence of natural disasters in our city and for working with all the agencies concerned to keep our city free from the types of violence and criminal activities that destroy peace in human society. Thanks to all this, visitors that are attracted in their numbers to us, and we have them every year for the London Bridge Day, Spring Break, Balloon Festival, the boat competition, the car shows, the gun shows, and others of this sort. Lord, we pray that abiding by your precepts and the laws of our land, we may live and work together peacefully and have our city grow to the point when big malls like Costco and Target, bigger health facilities and airports, and other such things that take us to Vegas or Phoenix are found here. May you accept our thanksgiving, bless us, and answer our prayers through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Thank you and welcome, Cindy. If you'd like to share a little bit about the Military Moms organization with us.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Military Moms is an organization that we not only support our moms that have active duty kids in the service, but we try to support our veteran community as well. We also are getting ready to send out hundreds of boxes of Girl Scout cookies to our deployed troops. So they'll be very excited in maybe 6 or 8 weeks. I don't know, however long it takes them to get there. We're also part of the Veterans Resource Team, and our Veterans Resource Team is made up of the local veteran organizations, some of our community members. Anybody that really wants to be involved can be. And what we do is we support our veterans. If the veterans need rent paid, utilities paid, groceries, whatever it is that they are in need of, we try to give them a hand up. This past year, we paid out $26,236.40 to our local veterans in need. I vet each and every one of them, make sure that they're telling me the truth. And I've gotten pretty good at weeding out the ones that aren't telling me the truth. My spidey senses go off. And I'll refer them to other sources of where they can get the help that they need. Altogether, since I've been taking care of this for 10 years, we've paid out $433,743.85. And all of that money is from the generous donations of the people in our community. We couldn't do any of this without them. And I've never seen anything like it. So thank you very much for letting me speak. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for all that you're doing for our community. All right, the next item on our agenda is our roll call. Ms. Williams, if you please call the roll.
Council members Nancy Campbell,
Here.
Jenny Koch,
Here.
Jim Dolan,
I'm here.
David Diaz,
Here.
Cameron Moses,
Here.
Vice Mayor Michelle Lynn,
Here.
Mayor Kal Sheehy.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5 is our consent agenda. Would any of the council members like to remove any of the items for separate discussion?
Mayor,
Councilmember Koch,
motion.
please.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Koch, a second from Councilmember Moses. We are ready to vote. Vice Mayor Lynn,
Aye.
thank you.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 6 is correspondence, communications, petitions, announcements, and the city manager report. We'll start with item 6.1, which is our fiscal year 24-25 first and second quarter contracted agency reports for Haven Family Resource Center. Chief Sterling included this in our packet. And for those that would like to review them, they're also available on our website at lhcaz.gov. Moving on to item 6.2 is to announce the vacancies on the Lake Havasu City boards, committees, and commissions. Ms. Williams?
Mayor and City Council, this item is to announce the current vacancies on Lake Havasu City boards, committees, and commissions. The city currently has 2 vacancies on the Board of Adjustment with 1 regular member and 1 alternate member. Anyone interested can pick up a packet at City Hall, and they are also available on the city's website at www.lhcaz.gov. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 6.3 is our city manager's report. Good evening, Mr. Knutson.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. A little to discuss this evening, starting off with a congratulations to Tom Chiazzi. He's worked in development services and he has announced his retirement, a very well-earned retirement. Tom dedicated 30 years of service to Lake Havasu City as a building inspector in our building division. His dedication and hard work over the years have made a long-lasting impact, and his contributions will not be forgotten. So we wish him well and all the best in his next chapter. May it be filled with joy, relaxation, and new adventures. Thank you, Tom. Chief Sterling and members of the police department, joined by members of our city council and other leaders in the community, attended the NOVA graduation ceremony last Friday, celebrating the 5th grade students from across the district and across the community. These students were honored and presented with certificates for their participation in the NOVA program, nurturing opportunities, values, and accountability. This impactful program allows students to engage with law enforcement officers while equipping them with the essential life skills based on the 5 core NOVA principles, which are accountability, positivity, knowledge, work, and respect. Congratulations to all the graduates. Mayor, last week, yourself and Vice Mayor Michelle Lynn, as well as Councilmember Cameron Moses, joined students at local schools to celebrate Read Across America. They spent time reading stories, engaging with students, and inspiring young readers to develop a lifelong love of books. Thank you to our city leaders for supporting literacy and education in our community. And Mayor, this past Saturday, you, Vice Mayor Michelle Lynn, and Councilmember Cameron Moses attended the 4th annual Southwest Chowderfest to proclaim March 8th, 2025 as Stroptimist International of Lake Havasu City Day. Since 1971, Stroptimist International has empowered women and girls through grants, scholarships, and awards. This year, they partnered with the Chamber Foundation for Education and Leadership, which supports leadership, workforce, and business education programs to strengthen Lake Havasu City. Proceeds from Chowderfest help provide vital resources for women to reach their full potential in our community. Join us in honoring all who served at the Vietnam Veterans Day event on Saturday, March 29th at Friends of the Fair Rodeo Grounds, which of course is located at Sarah Park on Dub Campbell Parkway. The gates will open at 10:30 in the morning. Come enjoy food, great conversation, and live music as we pay tribute to our Vietnam veterans. For more information or if you have questions, please contact Allie in my office at 453-4141, and we look forward to seeing you all there. Team Break is coming up next week, so you can still register for this action-packed 3-day adventure running from March 18th through the 20th. The event will feature team challenges, obstacle courses, and outdoor adventures that will test skills, endurance, and teamwork. The fee is just $50 for all 3 days, and the registration, of course, is now open. So please don't miss out on the fun and register today. If you have questions about this activity, please reach out to Marcus McIntyre in our Parks and Recreation Department at 854-4298. And we had Employee Appreciation Day was just last week on Friday. And on that day, we had the privilege of celebrating the outstanding employees of Lake Havasu City. A heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you for your unwavering dedication, your hard work, and passion in serving our community selflessly. Your commitment truly makes a difference, and we're beyond grateful for all that you do each and every day. As a special tribute, there's a slideshow I'd like to play. And I'd like to thank Steve Blake for creating the video as we showcase our incredible individuals who make our city shine. We truly have some wonderful, wonderful people working for the city across all of our departments. And again, lots of gratitude and thanks for their tireless efforts. And yeah, thank you. Well deserved. And with that, Mayor, I will turn it back over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knudsen. All right, item 7 is our public hearings. During each of our public hearings, we will have an opportunity for citizens to weigh in on the topic that we're talking about. We do encourage you, if you have an interest on any of the things on our agenda, to have that discussion while we have that public hearing portion of each individual item. That way we can have a two-way conversation, answer the questions, and add to the conversation. We also will have a call to the public at the end of the meeting as well, and that will be where you can just address anything not on the agenda that is within the purview of the city. I'll go over those guidelines when we get to that portion, but we do ask if you're engaged during that process with us that you are directly speaking to the city council on whatever comments or feedback you may have. We'll start with item 7.1, which is resolution number 25-3818, approving amendment number 2 to the intergovernmental agreement with the Lake Havasu Unified School District number 1 for the joint use of publicly owned facilities and equipment. Ms. Vera.
Hello, good evening, Mayor and Council. I am super excited to be up in front of you guys today bringing this item. I think it's probably long overdue for some of our youth leagues. Just to give you some back history, back in October, we had a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board meeting where we probably had 100+ sports leagues, participants, parents, community members come in and voice their concerns and need for additional field space. Thankfully, the Parks and Rec Department and, of course, the school district and the school board were able to team up and figure out, some solutions so we can get additional field space for our participants. So again, just a little backstory. Some of our challenges are that limited field space for our growing youth leagues. So currently, the leagues that we have agreements with, we are servicing over 3,000 participants. So, and that's just the youth leagues that we have agreements with currently. So, and that doesn't include basketball or some of the other ones that are still outside that do not have agreements with us. So I just kind of want to put that in perspective. It's a large population of the youth that are utilizing the existing sports fields that we have, and we just aren't able to accommodate the growing need and demand for those leagues. So currently we want to increase participation. The sports leagues are doing a huge service for our Parks and Recreation Department. That makes it so we don't have to offer sports leagues because we have all these amazing organizations outside that we're able to help and team up with. So they're doing a service for us. So it's really imperative that we can be able to offer that space and accommodate their growing needs, especially if we look at Havasu Lions, that's 1,800 participants alone for soccer, which is insane, right? So we want to make sure then that we're being able to accommodate them with space, especially with our Little League and other growing youth leagues that we have. So one of the solutions that we had come up with a couple months prior to even the October Park Advisory Board meeting was how can we kind of address this need? Well, one of the things that came up was looking at, well, the elementary schools have these beautiful multi-use fields. And what I mean by multi-use fields is just open grass area. So anything that from our soccer all the way to our baseball and softball would be able to utilize. So when we were kind of having those conversations with Mike, the school superintendent, it was how can we utilize these and be able to work together? One, we're being able to accommodate the community, and also we'll be able to help out the school as far as the extra use and foot traffic now that's going to be on their fields. So we're looking at getting all 6 sites for elementary, which the only site that actually has ball fields is Oro Grande. So for the rest of those sites, it's just what we would call the multi-use fields. So just open grass area. And that's going to be able to accommodate a lot of practice space for all of these youth leagues that currently use our existing fields. So this would only be for practice, not necessarily for games just yet, because none of the multi-use fields are big enough to line soccer fields or to host baseball games. But this is just a start for us and to be able to, for them to expand their participation numbers and get those kiddos out there to be able to practice. And then, of course, the benefits to the community, we're increasing the youth participation. So being able to accommodate and offer more space, that means then we can open up additional, or not us, but the youth leagues can open up additional slots for participants throughout the city. I know a lot of the current leagues have to unfortunately turn away kiddos because there's no more space, because there's no more fields. They don't have space to accommodate them. They don't want 15, 20 kids to a team. So being able to kind of expand the use for practice space, they'll be able to expand some of their teams, age divisions, all that. And then, of course, reduce strain on our current fields. So right now we really only use Cypress for our soccer games, and it's heavily used, heavily trafficked. You see a lot of holes where the staff are constantly going in, filling it in with sand or having to aerate the fields. And then the other thing is too, is when we go to, reseed or hydroseed and all that stuff, we have to shut down those fields, and then there's nowhere for the kiddos to practice. So by opening up and using some of these elementary school sites, we're able then to kind of take those kids off that, let that field breathe, and still kind of rotate through all of the extra field space that we're getting. And then, of course, efficient use of resources. It makes perfect sense. We already have an existing IGA with the school where we currently run all of our after school sites. And now to be able to use their outdoor space, it's going to be absolutely fantastic for then the community as far as expanding their leagues and being able to work with us so we can take that strain off and just kind of create and continue with this partnership that we've already had existing. So we're really excited. And then as far as what's next, so communication, if this is approved, which we're hoping it's approved and you guys sign off on it, but if it is, then working with the admins at each school, being able to get their calendars to make sure that there's no double bookings, there's nothing that would inhibit us from being able to use those fields, avoid conflicts. And then, of course, internally, we're also then adding 6 additional sites to our maintenance guys schedule, right? So we want to make sure then that we're adding that in and making sure that we can clean bathrooms, maintain the fields. Thankfully, we won't have to mow the grass, but aerating, as far as taking care and filling any holes if necessary. So those are the things that we're already kind of plugging into our staff schedule to prepare for the excess use. And then that's it. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Vera. Are there questions from members of the council? Yeah, Councilmember.
I just want to commend you and the team for getting creative and working around. This is such a need. Cypress Park, you mentioned. By the end of the Lions season, they're playing on dirt because of how much that thing gets used. So this is so needed, and I appreciate you and your team making this happen. And I want a big thank you to the school district for coming to the table and helping out the community and letting us make sense of of all the assets that we have in our town. So thank you to you and thank you to the district.
Councilmember Diaz.
Yes, and thank you, Gabby, for doing this also, and the school district. Two quick questions. So what are we currently doing? Because we had an agreement in 2014. What is going on right now with the school district?
So in that agreement, it's mostly for the indoor space for our after school care and then for our indoor basketball leagues. So it didn't really allow for us to be able to utilize the outdoor space.
That's a great thing that we're doing. And then do we know, if we have an idea what the cost is going to be to the city of this for extra maintenance or just ballpark?
So because we're not technically lining, we're not dragging, we're not doing any of that. So we don't have the cost of materials and goods we don't need to worry about. It's more so just organizing the schedule and getting staff. We're not adding extra staff. We're just getting smart and being innovative of how we schedule staff, how we're teaming them up, what their skills are. So right now it's really not, there's really no cost impact to us.
And I was on the board of directors of Anaheim Pony Baseball in my past life, and we utilized all the fields from the schools and so forth. And it's a great thing when it works out partnership. And so this is a good thing.
Yeah, 100%. And again, kind of to echo what you guys said, we're super thankful to the school district and to the school board for their continued support and in this partnership. So it's going to do a lot of good. So we're really excited to get this going.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments before we open the public hearing? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item?
Your phone's okay.
It's fine. It's a big old case.
Awesome. I love big cases. Good evening, City Council, Mayor. I do have a couple questions in regards to this. One, long time ago, back when before the newest current bond was put into place, the high school had been opened for people to go and walk on the high school fields during the day. Would that eventually be included for people to do that again? Because people did that all the time. And it was really sad when that stopped for those who like to do that. Even if they had red shoes. I remember them doing that all the time. I remember the red shoes. Second, back in 2021, you guys were asked to consider an intergovernment agreement between the school system and the city regarding transportation for the school kids during either 21 or 22. And the whole situation was told that it was not possible, that you guys could not have that agreement. But apparently you can have some kind of agreement with the school system because that's what you're about to do. Is that correct?
Yeah, Ms. Toy, we have lots of intergovernmental agreements with other agencies. Busing children to school is different than using field space. So today we're discussing and considering the opportunity to use field space.
Yes, I understand that. But in the future, if something comes up again for the council or the city might need to consider using school district stuff, would you be able to go based on this agreement today, be able to go, yeah, we probably should have that discussion and have that discussion about whether or not you can have an agreement with the school district in order to help each other?
Yeah, that's what we're doing tonight. So when something makes sense, we will have that discussion.
It made sense to help the kids to have transportation to school. But what about the opening the high school fields for people to walk again?
Yeah, so we don't own the school district property, so we are working to facilitate the open use of that. The investment that was made with that bond for the school site, a couple of things. One, security of the school site and those folks using it. Before, as you alluded to, it was just a kind of a clay walking, or like a clay track. Now it's a very expensive athletic track that requires certain shoes and would not do well if animals got on there and left their markings and those types of things, which does occur when people use open public spaces. So there's lots of areas for our citizens to walk. Cypress Park's a great place. The Island Pedestrian Path is a great place. There's several places, but this agreement would not be governing the use of a walking path at the high school.
Would they be able to walk at the elementary schools?
Right now, we're talking about field use. So we're going to be scheduling it for the use of fields. And so if that makes sense and there's paths around certain schools, that could potentially be part of the conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Don Wisdom. That was an excellent explanation of property we can use. My question is, are we using AI anywhere in the city? Or I would think AI would be an excellent way for them to figure out who is going to use that property. She was mentioning that there is going to be quite a job. And I'm wondering if the city uses AI for any of its projects.
Yeah, great question. We have lots of technology software platforms that manage a variety of things throughout the community. And there is some AI technology built into some of those technology platforms.
But do we use AI in the city?
Yeah, in certain technology platforms, yes. It's a component of that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice seeing you again. I'm sorry I missed you.
Good to see you too, Mr. Wisdom. Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion. Yes, real quick, I would like to recognize School Board President David Rose, who's in the audience. Thank you so much for your partnership with Lake Havasu City. This would not have been possible without that partnership, so we are very grateful to you, the board and the district, and also to Ms. Vera, you and your team, taking action based on citizen feedback to come up with solutions and work with the school board and school district to be able to bring this forward. It's a huge win for Lake Havasu City. So thank you so much for that. Councilmember Dolan?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, but whatever. All right, I guess I'll make a motion instead. I move to adopt resolution number 25-3818, approving the amendment number 2 to the intergovernmental agreement with the Lake Havasu City Unified School District number 1 for the joint use of publicly owned facilities and equipment.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Dolan, a second from Councilmember Campbell. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Vice Mayor Lynn?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item 7.2 is resolution number 25-3820, approving a minor general plan amendment, revising the future land use map designation for 60 Retail Center Boulevard, parcel B1 of parcel plat of Retail Center 2, approximately 2 acres, from medium density residential to commercial mixed use. Mr. Gilbert.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council.
I'm sorry, Vice Mayor Lynn?
Yes, I need to recluse myself from items 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4, please.
Yes, thank you. All right, let the record reflect that Vice Mayor Lynn is going to recuse herself from the next 3 items. Back to you, Mr. Gilbert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, members of council and mayor. The subject property is a 2-acre parcel. Oh, and I do want to state before I go any further that the next 3 hearings are all interrelated with each other. Subject property is a 2-acre parcel located at 60 Retail Center Boulevard. Surrounding development is commercial to the south and east with vacant land to the north and the west. The Shops at Lake Havasu is located just north of this project. And if you look close enough at the area map, you can see the south end of the Shops Lake Havasu right here. The subject property was changed to medium density residential from commercial mixed use in 2022 to accommodate a manufactured home park that was never constructed. The applicant's request is for a minor general plan amendment to return this 2-acre parcel to the commercial mixed use land use category to facilitate a commercial gym development with outdoor amenities and landscape parking area. The following agenda item to this particular one is a rezone request for this exact same property. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this application at its February 5th, 2025 meeting by a vote of 7-0.
The requested general plan amendment is consistent with surrounding land use designations. Mr. Mayor, I answer any questions that you or the council may have.
Thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Are there any questions from members of the council for Mr. Gilbert? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion.
Mayor?
Yeah, Councilmember Dolan,
Motion?
please.
I move to adopt resolution number 25-3820, approving a minor general plan amendment revising the future land use map designation for 60 Retail Center Boulevard, parcel B1 and parcel plat of Retail Center 2, approximately 2.0 acres, from medium density residential to commercial mixed use.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Dolan, a second from Councilmember Campbell. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries with 6 council members voting aye and 1 council member recusal.
Thank you. Item 7.3 is ordinance number 25-1355, approving the plan development rezone and general development plan for 60 Retail Center Boulevard, parcel B1, parcel plat of Retail Center 2, approximately 2 acres, from manufactured home district to mixed use general plan development district, to permit construction of a 2-story gymnasium with an exterior pool and parking areas. Mr. Gilbert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The subject property is a 2-acre parcel located at 60 Retail Center Boulevard. Surrounding development is commercial to the south and east, with vacant land to the north and west. And again, the south end of the Shops Lake Havasu is visible on the map. The subject property is currently zoned Manufactured Home Park, RMH. The applicant is requesting mixed-use general plan development, MUG PD zoning, to accommodate the gym development on this parcel. We'll be requesting the same zoning for the adjacent residential component located on a separate parcel. That will be the next item on the agenda. This zone is a mixed-use zone that complements the general commercial C2 zoning surrounding the parcel and is in general conformance with the types of uses that will be permitted in the C2 zone. Regarding the general development plan, this plan shows a 14,800 square foot footprint gymnasium building with outdoor pool and parking areas serving the development. 2 access points are anticipated at the north end from a cross-access easement off of Retail Center Boulevard, and that is right up here. And at the south end through a public utility and access easement, which is right here, also off of Retail Center Boulevard. The project will meet all building and development standards, including landscaping and parking, except those standards as amended by this application. The applicant has requested 3 exceptions from the MUG district standards and development standards required by the Lake Havasu City Development Code, and are as follows. Standard number 1, the requesting exemption from is maximum building height shall not exceed 35 feet in height above the approved maximum grade. 30 feet is the code maximum right now. Number 2, the 30% alternate material requirement of City Code Section 14.04.07.C.2 is not applicable to the east building facade facing Retail Center Boulevard. The Planning Commission did not recommend approval of this particular exception at its meeting. And then number 3, City Code Section 14.02.04.B.4.B is not applicable to this development, and that is the specific unique development standards under the MUG heading, requiring building orientation to the, well, I'll read them off for you here so everybody's aware of what that entails. Those 3 standards include the primary building must have at least one operable pedestrian door leading directly from the primary building onto a sidewalk. Number 2, at least 65% of the primary building frontage must be built no further than 20 feet from the front lot line. And number 3, if the building is located on a corner lot, at least 40% of the secondary building frontage must be built no further than 20 feet from the side lot line adjacent to the secondary street. So those are the MUG development standards that they're asking for an exception from in that third item. The building facades for the project, and that'll be this slide and the next one, show the building facades would appear from all four directions. On this particular one, it's at different angles and views of the front and the back, which will be the north and south ends. The building will incorporate a variety of elevation changes, pop-outs, and colors to add interest to the project. The building does incorporate a lot of glass and other features, but does not meet the Retail Center Boulevard facing facade requirement as submitted as the alternate proposed durable faux wood material does not total 30% on this facing. And on this particular slide, again, there's a view of the north end, and then there's the view from the west of the property. And then there's the view from the east from Retail Center Boulevard, which is the bottom slide. And that's the one that lacks the 30% alternate material, which would be that kind of orangish color that I'm circling with the mouse right here. That material would need to be 30% of that facade facing Retail Center. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this application on February 5th, 2025 by a vote of 7-0, but did not recommend approval of the exterior material exception, which was the request number 2 in the exceptions. The requested mixed-use general plan development MUG PD rezone is a mixed-use district containing many uses consistent with general commercial C2 district permitted uses. The requested exceptions are consistent with design strategies in the area. However, the submitted exterior materials exception request does not meet the intent of the code, as this section was recently amended to improve the appearance of commercial buildings facing public streets, and the Planning Commission did not recommend approval of it. Mr. Mayor, that completes my staff report. I answer any questions you or the council may have on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Gobert. Are there questions from our members of the council for Mr. Gobert?
Yes.
Councilmember Campbell?
I had heard that they had some concerns about the recommendations of the current code that we just put into place. And I did speak with the architects a few weeks back in regards to getting a plan that I was going to see and some sort of material that you were using that was going to be a better material than the gray corrugated metal that I cannot stand in this community. So do you have a piece of that material that you're going to be using? And again, if I understand correctly, a lot of this will be below grade. Am I correct?
That is correct. It's a 2-story building. The lower level will be below grade. The upper level is what's visible. If you look at the slide that's up right now, the middle slide is from the west, which shows both levels. The bottom slide is from the east, which only shows the upper level. And Councilmember Campbell, you are correct. We have a sample of that material. It is a faux wood material that we confirmed can act as an alternate material per our code. There's just not enough of it on the building. It needs to be 30%.
Okay, so from the street, we are going to see all this corrugated metal. You're not going to see anything else. I do see this overhang that they had mentioned they were going to be using this faux wood with, correct? To the left, if you're looking at the bottom picture to the left. Is that kind of an overhang or?
I'm going to go up one slide here.
Okay.
You can kind of see it in the upper left slide here. You can see the material lining the roof and then coming down the side. But that's not on the facade that's directly adjacent to Retail Center, which is why we're requiring a 30% on the bottom slide right here. Everything that's on the far left of that bottom slide picture is actually on an opposite wall under the overhang. So everything from that point to the north end of the building across that photo has to have at least 30% of that orangish colored material that you see on there.
If I may, Councilmember Campbell. So the picture we see in front of us right now, on that the lower portion there, that is what the applicant is asking for. It's not what the recommendation from planning and zoning is. So it would be 30% of where those words are would need to be that material or something else, to meet the code. We have that ability at this hearing this evening to make a motion that either accepts that request of the applicant or does not accept it.
Which realistically, if they do that, we're not going to be able to see that from the street anyways, correct? So, can I hear correct?
The facade that you see, the bottom slide, is visible from the street. That's going to be roughly at street level. So yes, it would be visible from Retail Center. The other side of the building is not on the middle slide. That's the looking from the west toward the gym, and then Retail Center is on the other side of the gym.
Okay. So on one of the streets, let's say Retail Center, which is a busy street, can we, do you have an alternate to fill this concern? Because right now I'm just seeing corrugated metal because I haven't seen any of the materials.
Good afternoon, everybody. We actually have a presentation that addresses every one of your concerns, I believe. We're supposed to be going here pretty soon.
That'll be after I'm done.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm done talking. Thanks.
Do you have any questions any additional questions for Mr. Gilbert before the applicant does theirs? Yes, Councilmember Diaz.
Mr. Gilbert, just to clarify, this used to be before it was RMH. It was GPD, right? It was changed to RMH. Now we're going to refer it back.
That's correct. It was changed to RMH. Now it's being returned back to a similar zone. It's not MUG and C2 are not exactly the same, right, but they share a lot of uses that are similar.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any additional questions? All right. Would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity to be here again today. My name is Rob Sampson with Sellberg Associates, and just have a brief presentation. I know you guys are here for a short time, so we'll try and get through this as quickly as we can, but answer all your questions as thoroughly as possible. All right. We are very excited to be here today to present Paradigm Gymnasium. This has been a vision of the Paradigm Group for a long time. It's something that we're very excited to be a part of. It's kind of a collaborative design between Place Designers and Sellberg Associates, and we're bringing this forward to you today. So as Mr. Gilbert, thank you again for your presentation. Mr. Gilbert, as always, was perfect. Just a brief kind of idea of what the site plan is really about. We've got a gymnasium. You heard him say it's a 14,000 square foot footprint. It's actually a 32,000 square foot plus or minus gym. We've got on the north side of the property, you'll see a partial parking garage. It's 2 stories. It'll address our parking needs. We've got parking along the street that's at the level of the street through Retail Center. And then we've got the resort style pool that you'll see in some pictures here as we follow through. Let's talk about some advantages of what this project is going to bring to the community. First off, we're going to create a unique and needed service, which will bring more visitors to the north side of town. What Paradigm is looking at, obviously they have a storage facility that's on Retail Center right now. They're looking at developing that north side of town in conjunction with many partners. They've got an analysis that's been completed that kind of shows that the growth of our community is heading north, with new communities coming up in Havasu Heights and also in the county heading towards the north. This is something that we feel is really a benefit to this community, a benefit to this area, and it's certainly something that some would argue, but we feel is unique to this area, and the amenities they're going to offer are going to be certainly something that will be very positive. We're looking to change the zone, the street frontage from residential use to a commercial use. It'll generate more tax revenue, create more employment on this parcel, also bring some more vibrance and some more excitement. We'll have a lot more people heading towards this part of town. Approximately 32,000 square feet of high-energy gymnasium that will encourage young athletes to excel in sports. Mr. Garland from Paradigm has a son that's an elite level athlete in baseball. I know there's many people here that have very talented children as well as themselves. And this is something where it's a big wide open space. It's got weight training, but also has area for practicing of mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, a boxing ring. It's got a number of elements that will be available for use to the public. Let's see, the gym has an aggressive plan to quickly expand membership. Not only for Lake Havasu proper, but expanding into the other neighboring communities we have in Mojave County as far as Bullhead City and Kingman, but also for our visitors that join us throughout the winters, also visitors that come from other destinations to enjoy our great community. This is something where they'll offer day passes, week passes, and monthly memberships. And the intention is to obviously grow the business, make it excel, but also to bring more people to the community where they can enjoy our restaurants, enjoy our shopping, help us to get those businesses that Father Tony mentioned in his invocation. The development will have a Dubai-inspired pool open to the members of the gym, also to the barn caves. Anyone who has a Paradigm storage unit pays HOA fees. You can see in the lower corner here is a couple of pictures of the Dubai-inspired pool. This was designed after one that's actually in Dubai. That's why it's Dubai-inspired. We're asking for a couple of exceptions. Mr. Gilbert already outlined them very well. We'd like to go to 35 feet. We feel it fits in within that community in that area and doesn't really have an impact on any residential upstream for losing any views. Exception to the alternate materials, I'll walk through that, Councilwoman Campbell, just to let you know what we're doing to address that item. And then the exception to the parking or the building placement on the site. One thing that we found very successful in coming to these meetings is to show a lot cross-section that allows you to kind of see the way the street and the building itself interrelate. So to answer the first question that was asked about the gym, how it was going to be located, level 1 of the gym is going to be 14 feet below the street level. And then everything above that would be obviously above street level. And then in this one here, you'll see in the next, we have another short presentation we'll do for the barn caves. What you see on the left side of this is the barn caves as they cascade and terrace down on the property. All right, elevations. These are not new. You've seen them about 3 minutes ago, but this is something that we wanted to kind of highlight. One thing, after we had our planning and zoning meeting, one of the commissioners had reached out to me, or maybe I reached out to them. It doesn't really matter, but the question was like, what happened why didn't we get the approval for the alternate materials? And he said, because you're a terrible salesman. And I said, well, that's not nice, but it's probably true for what he was talking about. The top view that you see here, and I'm going to go ahead one slide and just walk you through why. I think I can go backwards too. So the top view you see is this is on the southeast corner looking northwest. This is what you're going to see northbound coming down Retail Center. You're going to have views of the pool. You're going to have views of the underside of the soffit area. That's going to be that wood look material. It's going to be on the wall. Bless you, by the way. So this is all the elements that are built into the design. So you can see that this is not your standard metal building. And believe me, Councilwoman Campbell and all the other council people, I hate those metal buildings too, although they represent a lot of my business. But I'm just saying, I really don't love them as much as I love something like this, where you get to really get into something that's a little bit unique. In order to actually achieve some of the design elements on this, we've had to actually look at some structural engineering. We have HOK structural engineers out of Houston, Texas, working on this. They designed the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and they're the ones who are going to help us to get these cantilevers that look like they defy space and time. This is a much closer up view of what you're going to see coming down the street. So I challenge any of you to sit here and tell me we don't meet 30% of the facade element in the intention of the way the code was written. I believe that it's here. I mean, if this isn't here, I've got some buildings I'd like to come and talk to you about personally later on, because I really feel like we meet that intention and we're right there. Heading back one slide, what you see on the bottom of this a sheet of elevations. That's what you see from the front of the building as you're going, be heading southbound, on Retail Center. So from the citizens' view as they're driving by this building, I don't think there's any way to look at this building and go, wow, what a lackluster design effort that was put in place here. We've really lowered the bar and we didn't meet the intention of the code. I really feel like it's here. But I'll get off my soapbox because I do have a vested interest in this. I think you all know. Right, we've already talked about the elevations and beat them to death. The site plan, again, this was just to justify the building placement location. You can see the way our parking aligns with our Retail Center Boulevard. So if there's any questions, we're here. We've got the ownership here as well. We'd like to answer any questions and show that we are hoping to be a good community partner with Lake Havasu City and its citizens.
Thank you, Mr. Sampson. There was a time during your Planning and Zoning Commission hearing, you had said that you could conform to the code as it's written. It sounds like you might be deviating from that a little bit from this discussion, or would you still be able to have the alternate material on the part that's facing Retail Center Boulevard?
Technically, I think we meet this, what faces Retail Center. I mean, there's a very small section of wall that you see in this last elevation on the bottom of the page. But this elevation in 2 dimensions reflects what's on the opposite side where the pool is at. So, I mean, if this is what the justification is, I feel like we're meeting 30%. And because of this elaborate work that we have going on, and the one before it as well on the bottom of the page.
So as you're driving down Retail Center Boulevard, I'm seeing the top picture here, or I'm seeing...
You're seeing the top and the bottom, correct. And then you'll also see, I think what you're getting at is you'll see the bottom picture here if you were to stop and just place your car right there. But that's not the way people enjoy the space.
Okay. All right. Are there other questions from members of the council?
I'm just going to say, I think you're a great salesman.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I think it's a great product. I have seen that product. It does look like wood. It's better than wood because it's not going to...
It won't warp, and it's got a 20-year warranty on the color, so it won't be fading as well.
Perfect.
Is the idea.
Thank you.
Yeah. Councilmember Diaz?
So with the gymnasium, a quick question. So you do not have to be an owner of the quote unquote barn cave. And if I want to just come as a citizen of Lake Havasu and join the gymnasium, I could use the gymnasium at the swimming pool?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, it's available for memberships, and there will be daily, weekly, and monthly passes. The business plan is still being worked out, but that's what we've discussed. And honestly, for the endeavor that this owner is trying to take on, he's going to need as many people in here with memberships as he can. This is a very elaborate building. That's what it takes.
Mayor?
Yeah.
I think we have some swim teams that would probably like to sign some memberships up.
Right.
It has nothing to do with this agenda item, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, since you did bring that up, though, Councilmember Campbell, there has been discussions about that in the community. This is a resort-style pool, not a lap swim pool. Is that my understanding?
That's correct. Yeah.
So that won't really be a potential solution, but there have been folks talking about it. So since that was brought forward, any additional questions or comments from members of the council before we open the public hearing?
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Councilmember Dolan?
As far as the corrugated metal, is there any issues reflecting things like that? I know the airport being there, or the roof, anything like that, as far as, does that metal reflect really bad, or is there any concerns with that?
No, this is an excellent question, though. But we're looking at using a charcoal gray pattern, and it's also an insulated metal panel that has a corrugated panel. It also offers insulation for it. It's got kind of a duller finish to it. It's not like your standard metal. And that's one thing that was a big concern for them. Not so much the airport, but just making sure that it was something that wouldn't cause traffic concerns or be a negative impact on the community.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you for your presentation. We'll open up the public hearing to members of the public. If you would like to address the City Council on this item, please make your way to the podium and state your name for the record.
Good evening, Emiliano Torres, resident. I would encourage you to have them meet the code. If you don't have them meet the code, it'll be a perfect match for the surrounding storage facilities. That's what it looks like. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bonnie Toy, Mayor, Council. I don't know at which point of the codes to ask the question that I have, or even to which ones I'm needed to address in this issue. But last week, a friend of mine lives in Scottsdale, and she has 3 children. One of them just came home from a NIC unit. She was walking down the steps of her 3-story apartment complex and broke her ankle. They have no elevator in that complex where she lives. So I can't even imagine how she must feel. Brand new baby with no elevator, with a broken foot, having to walk up and down 3 flights of stairs with 2 other children. So what my issue is, and it will always be on any of your new developments, after seeing some of the other new developments in town that do not accommodate handicapped people, very accessible. How does that occur in situations like this with the pool and a gymnasium? I see that they have 4 handicap spots shown, but I don't see where the city is doing things to help with that. And also, I do wonder if I understand that there are basic requirements for accessibility for disability, whatever that word is, the ADA. But, honestly, sometimes I was wondering if maybe some places cities can adjust and go beyond whatever the basic federal requirements are. And I think our cities should be one of those leaders in that, if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item?
Good evening, council. My name is Patrick Willett, resident. I have one question for the developer, and my question is, nobody asked it up here, was what is the reason for not following the codes? Is it financial? You don't have the money to pay for the additional things? Or I don't understand. I applied for a 3-foot easement in my property and I got shut down. I couldn't get that code moved over 3 feet. So I'm just trying to find out what is the real reason for not following the code to the standard. I can understand the 5-foot elevation because of the RV store across the street. It's very tall, but I mean, the facial stuff, to me, it's a no-brainer. Why not follow the code? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I don't want to speak for the applicant, but the answer to that question that I heard was that they believe they are meeting the code. So I don't know if the applicant has any additional feedback, but that's what I gathered from the conversation we've had so far. So it looks like they're shaking affirmatively to that as well. So would anyone else like to address the city council on this item? See, now we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for discussion or possible motion. Yeah, Councilmember Diaz.
Okay, so that opened up a little thing. So if we find out that it's not meeting the code, even though they feel it is, what is the steps that we take to rectify that?
Yeah, so the request right now has been analyzed by staff. It does not meet the code.
Does not meet the code.
Does not meet the code. So what's in front of us now is we have a recommendation from our Planning and Zoning Commission that tells us that they do not believe that we should pass this with the exception to number 2, which is this alternative materials. However, the council has that ability to make a motion, and if it gets a second and it passes affirmatively, then it would move forward. But it currently does not meet the code.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from members of council?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Dolan?
I do see the point from retail view that I think it's kind of a gray area. I think we made this rule because we didn't want just these metal buildings with no cosmetic look to them or anything like that. But, it is black and white in the code that's what we need. And I see the point. I agree with it, but I think, it's definitely one of the rules that the other ones, the heights and stuff, I just think I'm going to take the recommendation of the other board. And I think that's something I need to be able to vote yes on that. But other than that, I like everything but that. So.
Mayor,
Councilmember Campbell?
I'm hearing the rest of the council, and you would be able to add a little bit more of that facade onto that metal, maybe some square panels up there to meet the needs of or the concerns of the staff. It seems like other than some altering and engineering and placing some recessed panels in there to kind of get the facade that we're discussing, you might be extremely close. Am I correct?
We're about 5 feet. It's not a big deal.
So 5 feet, little square, and we're ready to go.
Absolutely.
So you can do that for us.
I just wanted to test my sales skills on you. It didn't work.
Well, I was working for you this time, but I can see how easy that will be if the.
It's not a big deal. We've already kind of had this discussion because when we got denied, I mean, I think the intention of the code is not what we're looking at today. If we're going to be honest, I think the way the code was written, it doesn't allow for. I'm not sure if I understand. Here, let me be honest with you. This is my 10 seconds here. The code is written if I have a parapet wall or if I have a sloped roof, which one do I take the facade element from? Because if I have, in this design, we have a wall system that's very short, but we have a sloped roof that's metal. Is there anything that says I can't use a metal roof? The answer is there is not. So now we're talking about this wall area. And if you look at the wall area that's in those elements I just showed you guys, we're looking at the intention of your code the incorrect way. I apologize. That's the way it is. It says on the 2D elevation facing the street. The 2D elevation facing the street is that 30%. We meet that in flying colors on the left-hand side of that, which was beyond the pool, but still facing the street. That's why I'm saying I think we comply. I think your intention was that don't put an ugly metal building up. We all agree with that, and we want to make sure that that happens. In this case, we have a building that doesn't have lines that are running parallel to the street. It's a little different than your standard rectangular metal building. That's all. And I'm off my soapbox. I wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, I think
but we can meet the intention.
I think I would have to agree with what I'm hearing up here, that if we can add a little bit more in there, just so that we can, it's one of our first codes out the books and we're altering it and changing it from the get-go. I think your building's beautiful. I think when it would be up, it would be great. But I think so that we are not up here having this conversation over and over, that the message is heard, that we really want people to do a better job making their buildings beautiful. And by the front of it, with everything you have here, I'm sure it'll be a beautiful building, but
Guaranteed.
I would really appreciate that if you could add that extra 5 feet that you're talking about, or whatever the staff.
Yeah, we're absolutely no problem.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Are there any questions? Otherwise, Councilmember Diaz is prepared to make a motion.
I'll make a motion on this. I move to adopt ordinance number 25-1355, approving the planned development, rezone, and general development plan for 60 Retail Center Boulevard, parcel B1 of parcel flat of Retail Center 2, from manufactured home district to mixed development district, to permit construction of a 2-story gymnasium with an exterior pool and parking areas, excluding specific exception number 2.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Diaz. We have a second from Councilmember Dolan. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote.
Motion carries with 6 council members voting aye and 1 council member recusal.
Thank you. And then item 7.4 is ordinance number 25-1356, approving the planned development rezone and general development plan for 40 Retail Center Boulevard, parcel B2 of parcel plat of Retail Center 2, approximately 15.92 acres, from manufactured home district to mixed use general plan development district, to permit the construction of 97 detached single-family dwelling units with outdoor recreation improvements. Mr. Gilbert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The subject property is a 15.92 acre parcel located at 40 Retail Center Boulevard. So for reference, the gym hearing we just had is this cutout piece right here, and this is the rest of the property. Surrounding development is commercial to the south and east, with vacant land to the north and state-owned land to the west that is also vacant. The shops at Lake Havasu just north of this property, and that's again visible up here at the top. The previously heard cases are located on the east side of this parcel. On the zoning map, the subject property is currently zoned Manufactured Home Park, RMH. The applicant is requesting mixed-use general plan development, MUGPD zoning, to accommodate a 97-unit single-family detached development with outdoor recreation facilities on this parcel. This is the same zone requested for the adjacent gymnasium component on a separate parcel to the east. This is a mixed-use zone that complements the general commercial C2 zoning surrounding the parcel well and shares many uses that would be permitted in the C2 zone, but also adds a mixed-use component to utilize the already existing medium-density residential land use category underlying the subject property that is consistent with the general plan. The general development plan shows a 97-unit barn cave style development that will have all privately owned lots with an HOA, which is a homeowner association, to maintain the development's amenities, including the detention basin, landscaping, driveways, back alleys, and in some blocks, an internal private streets, and which would be in the center of the project here and here. The project will meet all building and development standards except the applicant has requested one exception from the Lake Havasu City Development Code to permit the addition of the permitted use category of single-family detached for this project. The MUG zone includes some residential components such as multifamily residential. It does not include single-family detached, and they're requesting that that use category be allowed for the project. This development is at a lower elevation than Retail Center Boulevard and will not have good visibility due to topography. The gym development will also act as a screen. If you recall, the developer had that image up on his presentation with the line drawn over the top of the gym with the barn caves behind it. And that kind of shows you that it sits roughly, I'm going to estimate about 14 feet down from Retail Center Boulevard. So the residential screen for as people drive by, it'll be hard to notice that there's houses down in there. It's kind of in the valley. Building facades. This slide shows the barn cave style building facade as intended to look for this project. The building will incorporate a variety of elevation changes, materials, and colors to add interest to the project. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this application on February 5th, 2025 by a vote of 7-0, including the requested exception. Code compliance statement on this, the requested mixed-use general plan development, MUGPD, with the requested exception is compatible with the surrounding area. The developer has a presentation to go with this particular item as well. I'll answer any questions you may have before we get to them.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. I think what we'll do is let's hear from the applicant while we do that. While we're hearing from the applicant, Mr. Gilbert, could you pull up what housing is allowed in the MUG? I don't see the chart in our council packet of what housing components are allowed in that by right versus the request that they're asking. So with that, if the applicant would like to make their way up.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor, council members. Again, I'm Rob Sampson with Selberg Associates, and it's still my pleasure to be here. I hopefully won't hold my last comments against me. This project is a very exciting project, and I don't want to oversell this, but if this doesn't blow your socks off, I don't know what will. And this is something that is ground zero, and this is going to be something that Lake Havasu City will get to be a part of right at the ground in the beginning stages. This is also a collaborative design effort between Place Designs and Selberg Associates. You've already seen our proposed development plan, so I won't waste a lot of time on this. Advantages. This development will create a unique residential product offering in Lake Havasu City. I know many of you, and maybe people watching at home, are going, my friend has a barn dominium. I challenge you to find one that has 97 high quality, upscale, unique living units that are barn dominiums all in one place, that are all under an HOA and all meet strict compliance guidelines. You may ask yourself, why a barn dominium? Well, we're working with some high-powered realtors on this project, as well as a very intense owner who just sold a bunch of storage units. And what they were always being asked is, can we put a one-bedroom unit in our storage unit? We'd like to live here. We spend a lot of money on these things. Can't you just give me the ability to do so? which is a resounding no. It's not zoned for that, and it's not something that the code will even allow. So this is a potential project. It's a solution to the problem. It's offering someone, and I've been designing buildings in Lake Havasu for 25 years, and we normally have a lot of our visitors that come in with big toys and say, I'd like a one-bedroom house with a 9,000 square foot garage. It happens. So what we're here today to do is kind of present to you this barn-dominium concept. What we've got here is a 3-bedroom and a 4-bedroom concept that is going to be placed. There's a couple different floor plan options, and it's something that will offer these storage unit owners with these barn dominiums. It has loft style living, and it's a lock and leave type concept. The development will have a Dubai inspired pool access that we talked about with the gym. And here's the exciting part. I know you're all waiting to have your socks blown off. I'm ready to go. So this project is ground zero. It is the initial vision that Paradigm and some of his developer friends and some manufacturing partners in our community got together and were having, I'm sure, an adult beverage at one point and coming up with ideas of how they could make the community better or offer something new to the community. And for years, I've sat at these meetings and I've sat at other developer meetings where the city has said, we wish we had more industry here. How can we bring more industry to town? How do we keep the youth here? And there's some great and phenomenal businesses that work at Lake Havasu City, and we are blessed to have them. And thank God they're here. But this is another one that's coming. In conjunction, working with Ryan Busnardo over at 10 Day Doors and Nug Smasher, he's going to fabricate these buildings with the help of some high-powered structural engineers to make them into a kit that will be able to be delivered to your site anywhere in the United States. They will be, ground zero will be the development, the fabrication, everything is happening right here in Lake Havasu City. This is something that we're super happy to be a part of. It's something that we are so blessed to be a part of, to be honest. And I can't wait to see this come to fruition. There's a model that's being built right now that they're working through in another jurisdiction to keep it kind of a quiet, kind of a private area. And what they're doing is finding all the bugs that they can find, and then they're going to make this so they can send it out. This is manufacturing that is intended to go nationwide with hopefully a worldwide component at some point. I'm not trying to oversell it, but I'm telling you, there's not many of these that come by us on a daily basis, and we are so happy to have it here in Lake Havasu coming. The only thing that we're asking for is the single-family detached exception into the mixed-use general. It allows for multifamily. This is arguably multifamily by most people who are in the industry, let's say it that way. So we're asking for that exception, and that's all. What you see here is the pool that you'll have access to. You also, on the lower right, you'll see the interior. These are high-quality, upscale designs. They've been all curated by an interior designer, and they are designed with the lock and leave kind of client in mind. The exterior finishes, Mr. Gilbert handled it perfectly for us. We have that wood look fiber cement to have some continuity between the barn caves and the gym itself. The exterior is primarily a mix of that wood look fiber and stucco. We have an expansive amount of glass and the painted exposed steel structure to give it that kind of masculine kick. You've already seen this cross section, but this is just to reinforce that we're well below the 30-foot height limit that is on the property already, and we're willing to keep that, no problem. That is our presentation, and we are excited to stand for any questions. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for the presentation. Mr. Gilbert, do you have the answer to the...
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I do. Currently permitted in the MUG district is the categories of dwelling co-housing, dwelling live-work, dwelling multifamily, and dwelling vacation rental. What's not currently in MUG is dwelling single-family detached, dwelling single-family attached, and dwelling two-family. But all the other versions are available presently.
Thank you. All right, with that, do any members of the council have any questions for either Mr. Gilbert or Mr. Sampson?
I have a question.
Yeah,
so it looks like from the picture, and especially with these nice patios, do the patios just face the other patios, or is there all the exterior units? Do they have views and patios out the back and the sides of the complex?
Yeah, there's multiple patios on each of the floor plans. So some of them face better views, some of them have mountain views, and some of them have the ability to look at their neighbor.
What is the mayor? What is the distance between, like, when you're trying to back that? I personally visualize it kind of tilted a little bit so that you can drive into it a little bit better. But if you have a good distance between these two, what is the distance between building to back into these garages, especially the RV ones?
So one of the questions that came up while we were talking about this project, and it came up in the Planning Commission a little bit, is where were residential cars going to park here? So one thing that the developer is quite mindful of, and we have two different lengths of unit. There's 66-foot length and a 74-foot length. That was designed on purpose, and it was purpose because we want to have a two-car garage that's functional on one side, which I don't have a pointer, but Mr. Gilbert pointed out the two smaller driveways that are 24 feet code compliant for residential driveways. And then we have 60-foot driveways between the units for backing in the toys. So, and that's the larger ones that you see between.
Yeah, that's my question. Just the ability to back into that. And I'm sure the person that owned this before had a storage unit, so I'm pretty sure they would know how to do that. I just wanted other people, I'd had other people asking questions about that, but great design, beautiful. And I think the reasoning why that you're doing the single family so you can sell them off individually, kind of like what the built wall concept is, right? To parcel them.
That's correct.
All right, thank you much.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Diaz?
Is the, on the diagram here on the top right, is that guest parking? Is that what I'm looking at there?
Top right is pickleball courts and some outdoor entertainment space to give some areas for outdoor enrichment.
So is there no guest parking anywhere?
There is guest parking at the end of the aisleways. You can see them barely shaded in. And there's some guest parking we're looking at finding locations for a little bit more. I know that was one of the concerns that had come up.
Thank you.
Mayor? So this...
Yeah, Councilmember Campbell.
Oh, sorry. This gray area over here to the bottom of the picture, is that like your retention area or?
That'd be retention and some additional outdoor enrichment area. It'll be landscapes, much like you see in some of the metropolitan Phoenix areas where they use the retention ponds as parks. There just won't be any structures in it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Gilbert, what parking requirements are they meeting? So when it comes to the code for parking, how is that considered for this project? Request to allow single family dwellings in.
We believe they can meet the parking requirements per dwelling unit, and also there is plenty of space to put in the visitor parking. They've provided some other views to us, and I think I had one on let me go back to the one I had up here. That might be able to answer that. No, it's a different version. They presented options for putting the parking on the ends. We told them in design review that they're going to have to submit a plan that provides plenty of visitor parking, and they will do that. It will have to conform with all other code requirements other than the one exception they requested.
That's not an issue for you?
Not at all.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
All right. Any other questions from members of council?
Mayor?
Yeah, Council Member Moses?
Yeah, I had a question. What's the density difference between what we're currently zoned and what we're essentially potentially moving to? The current zoning is RMH for manufactured homes. The underlying land use of medium density residential, the density for this project matches the medium density residential land use category. So that's why there's no requirement to change the general plan for the underlying land use category.
Are there any other questions before we open the public hearing? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item?
Good evening again. My name is Emiliano Torres. I'm a resident. The presenter, in his previous presentation, wanted to avoid having regular rectangular buildings because I guess they're not attractive. And now that's all we're seeing in this development is a regular rectangular building. I'm concerned with parking. We have 3 and 4 bedroom units that could become Airbnbs. So residents could store their own equipment in the RV garage, and people renting out the Airbnbs would want to have their parking, but not part of the RV garage. And the HOA can control the parking, but the HOA can be modified by the residents. So there's no assurance that there's always going to be adequate parking. I would ask you to look at the picture you're seeing on the wall right now. That is totally deceiving and dishonest. It gives you a perspective wide from the front and narrow at the back. That's not a true picture. That's pie in the sky. Let's face it, this is mobile homes on garages. That's what it is. It's boring. It's rectangular. It's an RV garage with a mobile home on the roof. Back in the 70s, I used to be a little construction worker while I went to college for the summer, and I was involved in doing construction on urban renewal projects. They looked a heck of a lot better than this, and those became slums. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address the city council on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to council for discussion and possible motion. I do have a follow-up question, Mr. Sampson, to Councilmember Dolan's question. So earlier he had asked about the color and the reflections and those types of things. Now with the design of these units, there is a lot of white or lighter color, which we've had some challenges with that throughout the community. Is your answer from earlier stand here where it won't have a reflective issue with aircraft or otherwise?
Yeah, all of the materials that we're using in this one is more like a stucco that has that a different textural component to it. We haven't decided all of the finishes yet, so I mean, it's something. If you had concerns, you want to see darker finishes, we're happy to do that. That's fine.
Just not reflections. Yeah, it seemed to have been a challenge. I mean, it's
nothing.
That pool over at the FBO at the airport, that ended up being an issue from the white hangar building. So,
which makes sense.
So, all right. Any other questions or comments from members of the council?
Here.
Yeah, Councilmember Campbell.
I heard you correctly. It's like a synthetic stucco, right? That you're putting on the outside of this, or?
Yeah, it's just a regular Omega 1 coat stucco. It's just a regular cementous stucco.
Okay. And because they're single family homes, that's why we're not encouraging elevators or any of that. And the buyer beware at that point if they fall down the stairs.
These will have elevators.
Oh, they will. Okay, yes. Great. Thank you much. Well, that's a pretty expensive motorhome, a mobile home. It's all good.
So each unit's going to have an elevator?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, very nice. Yeah. And then once again, on the parking side of things, so there was a great comment if 4-bedroom units that you might have 4 units plus a couple of toys that are going along with that. It'll become an issue of the HOA, obviously, but there is no ancillary parking for this development. But you feel that you'll be able to meet the current code that would address this?
Yeah, actually, the developer asked me to make mention that they don't want this to become an Airbnb community. It's something that they've decided they will outlaw. It's something that they won't allow as part of their CC&Rs, just to maintain more continuity in the community.
Yeah, could you repeat that?
Yeah, they're going to outlaw the ability to do Airbnbs. It'll be long-term rentals only.
So, Mayor,
the reason they get to do that is because they're an HOA. The city doesn't have that same ability to be able to do that. Yeah, Councilmember Campbell.
Yeah, and they'll have the 2-car garage in the back, along with potentially a 50-foot garage in the front. So,
correct.
That's a lot of parking, a lot more parking than some people's homes in this town. So that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any additional comments or entertain a motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Right, Councilmember Dolan.
I move to adopt ordinance number 25-1356, approving the planned development rezone and general development plan for 40 Retail Center Boulevard, parcel B2 of the parcel plat of Retail Center 2 from manufactured home district to mixed use general plan development district to permit construction of 97 detached single-family dwellings units with outdoor recreation improvements.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Dolan, a second from Councilmember Moses. Is there any additional discussion? We are ready to vote.
Motion carries with 6 council members voting aye and 1 council member recusal.
Thank you. All right, item 7.5 is order form and master software as a service agreement with Target Solutions, LLC, DBA Vector Solutions for Guardian tracking software. Captain Williams.
Mayor and Council, thank you. All right. Lake Havasu City Police Department is seeking the acquisition and implementation of early warning software called Guardian Tracking from Target Solutions, LLC, DBA Vector Solutions. This software will serve as an essential tool for enhancing the department's ability to monitor and support our employees proactively. Guardian Tracking provides a comprehensive and automated system for tracking employee performance, behavior, and potential risk indicators in real time. The system will allow supervisors to identify patterns, address concerns, and intervene early related to employee wellness, behavior, and compliance before potential issues arise. So a couple of the key components I want to touch on, just to give you a little bit better wraparound of what early warning software does. It does real-time tracking and alerts. So alerts are triggered when specific thresholds are met. So an example would be a number of citizen complaints, use of force incidents, or vehicle pursuits. This allows our leadership within the organization to intervene early before issues, get too far. Comprehensive employee performance records can be a component of this as well. We already do this. However, the system creates detailed records of each officer's performance, including accommodations, disciplinary actions, training, complaints, vehicle pursuits, as well as documentation for on-the-job injuries. Supervisors can easily track patterns and trends over time, enabling more informed decisions when an officer might need additional support or training. Early intervention and support. One of the core features of Guardian Tracking is the ability to implement early intervention when concerns and patterns are detected. Supervisors can flag issues that are all customizable on these concerns and intervene early, providing appropriate support such as additional training, counseling, and wellness resources. The system allows the department to set customizable thresholds, as I stated, for different behaviors, metrics that would in turn trigger that alert. Improved officer wellness and accountability is another main component. Guardian Tracking helps identify officers who may be experiencing stress, burnout, or performance decline, allowing us to provide necessary remedial training, wellness programs, and/or counseling in-house. It also reinforces accountability by tracking and documenting several specific officer activities, simultaneously helping maintain high standard of professionalism, aid employees who display behavior that's inconsistent with department standards, policies, and overall mission. So I know that was quite a bit. One other main component is legal and compliance benefits. Obviously, having detailed records of officer performance can be invaluable in addressing legal and compliance issues. In the case of an investigation and/or litigation, having documented history of intervention and support actions can certainly assist with organizational avoiding liability. This takes a lot of our current systems that we already do with regard to complaint investigations internally and externally, our use of force, our pursuit tracking, as well as our personal performance records, and puts it all under one umbrella. We've been doing this for years. We just have never had all these systems talk to each other like what this system will allow us to do. And again, giving us those metrics and those alerts that are customizable for us to basically go in and say, what do we want to see? What do we want to track on a daily basis versus having all types of statistics that we really don't know what to do with. Again, this main portion is for early wellness, but also, early warning, but also for wellness. This was also one of the key components that was identified in our last ALEAP accreditation process, was that our agency lacked an early warning system. We did vet this. We vetted 3 different ones, and believe it or not, this was the cheapest of the 3, but met our needs quite well. Fiscal impact, considering this, the reason we're here before you today is obviously the indemnification clause inside this contract. This is a 3-year agreement. First year is $11,355 plus applicable fees and taxes. That includes the software, the annual maintenance, and the one-time implementation and training, which they do on site with us. The remaining year 2 and year 3 are $10,355 apiece for a total of $32,065. I had a lot to say there, so I'd be more than happy to answer any questions, but that's the gist of it.
Thank you, Captain Williams. Are there any questions from members of the council for Captain Williams on this item? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the city council on this item?
I have a really weird question. I was listening, actually, somewhat to what he was saying, and did he just say that this software is supposed to help prevent corruption in the police office or with the police officers, basically?
I didn't hear those words. What I heard was that it's early detection for officer behavior, which will allow supervisors to intervene sooner with remedial training and education if necessary, among other things. But that was what I heard.
Right. So that would help with corruption, right? If there were corruption, it would help in steps with that, right?
Not walking into that one, Ms. Dwight, but
I was like, wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yes. Would anyone else like to address the council on this item?
Again, my name is Emiliano Torres. I'm a resident. God, I can't believe I'm up here 3 times. We already have a police chief. We have sergeants. We have training officers. Why do we need the software? My concern is that this will provide a buffer between the residents and the police force. There'll be a software in between this. I worked for the federal government for many, many years, and we instituted software like this, and people learned to play it. They learned how to use keywords. They learned how to work around it. And as seeing people that I know that have been applying for jobs with the federal government, now that they have an automated system like this, you can't get through the system unless you know somebody. And that's my fear with some kind of automated system that should be done right now, is being done right now by the administration and the police department. We don't need a piece of software providing an insulation between them and us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. I appreciate your perspective. I don't see it the same way for 10 grand. That would be doing a lot of things. This is literally just going to track information to allow us to intervene sooner. Yes, sir.
Hello, guys. My name is Aaron Cothran. I'm a resident here of Lake Havasu City. I'm here for a different matter, but this one just kind of struck me. What oversight are we going to have on this software as a city? Are they going to have full discretion to put in these notes? And is that something that is going to be, public record, just like their disciplinary action, things of that nature? Also, what assurance do we have from Captain Williams and his department that these matters are not going to get circumferred off of paper onto a digital format where it's discretionary? So I think there's some concerns here, how these DAs are going to be getting rolled over, and the access to the public on this software. If there is internal notes where there's a concern of an officer and that officer is conducting himself improperly, how do we go upon finding their internal records that they already had concerns of this officer? So I just think the resolution of this ordinance quickly, I would think would be an injustice. I think this software is the cheapest for a reason. And I would just think our council should probably look into this a little bit so that all of us residents have access to who's putting in this information, who's responsible for it. Is this going to be a third-party server that's going to be responsible for keeping all this data? Or is it the city going to hire us? Are they going to have their own server? So these are concerns I think that sparked my ear. Thank you.
Yeah, Aaron, your last name, you said
C-O-T-H-R-E-N.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Captain Williams.
Yes, Mayor, Council, a lot to digest there really quick, but this isn't an AI driven. This isn't somebody taking over the information. This is all the information that we currently track, and our professional standards unit that they do with our end of the year reports, and they handle all of our citizen complaints, all of our internal complaints. All of this stuff is already being done. However, in personnel reports, we call them PPRs. Every employee has a PPR done, a rolling record of their performance throughout the year that aids them, and evaluations at the end of the year. All of these things are being done, just not under one umbrella. And this software is essentially something that we're just inputting this data into, and it can tell us that, hey, an officer took the day off here because he was on bereavement. And, a week later he got a complaint. And then a week later he took another day off. And a week later he got a complaint, and then he was in a pursuit. Those are the type of things that it will tie into to flag, hey, hold on, something might be going on with this officer for early intervention. And again, this is nothing new. This has been going on throughout the country, and it's taken a big hold in the state of Arizona with police agencies, which is why our accreditation said you guys need to get on board with a system like this. I'm trying to remember some of the other questions that they had brought before, if there's anything else you had.
Yeah, Councilmember Diaz, do you have
I would assume that any question that any citizen has is a FOIA request, and they could get the information.
Absolutely. And actually, I guess I failed to touch on it, but this system actually makes public record requests easier. So right now, we get dozens of requests a week from attorneys, from just the public regarding cases, and then also possibly even, use of force incidents. We have to then send an individual back to carve all that data by themselves, get everything wrapped up and sent to them, where this will generate those reports for us. And it's only the data we've stuck in there. So it's not creating anything new. There's no AI involved. Nobody else is in control of it but us. And it actually would create it a lot more streamlined and easy. So.
Thank you. Hey, would anyone else like to address the City Council on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for any additional discussion or possible motion. Councilmember Diaz?
I move to approve order form Schedule A and master software as a service agreement with Target Solutions Learning LLC, DBA Vector Solutions, for the purchase of Guardian tracking software, and authorize the city manager to execute all agreements, documentation on behalf of the city.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Diaz, a second from Councilmember Dolan. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we're ready to vote. Councilmember Lynn? Oh, Vice Mayor Lynn, excuse me.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Captain Williams. All right, our final public hearing of the evening is item 7.6, a purchase of repair services for the Bombay Lift Station pump from DXP Enterprises, Inc. Good evening, Mr. Fernando.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Bombay Lift Station is one of the main pump stations in our wastewater collection system. It pumps about 2 million gallons of sewage a day to the North Regional Treatment Plant. There are 3 pumps in the wet well and 1 spare in hand. These pumps are 350 horsepower, Fairbank. Most pumps that pumps about 4,000 gallons per minute. These are the largest and highest horsepower pumps we have in the collection system. As you can see in this picture, pumps are fairly large, weighs about 6,000 pounds, and stands 7 feet tall. This is what we see when the pump is taken out of the wet well. A big load of wipes and rags. These flushable wipes cost a lot in maintenance dollars. The only product that should be flushed is toilet paper. A new pump runs in the range of $250,000. We have a quote for repairing the existing pump for about $90,000 using the City of Chandler cooperative contract. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fernando. Yeah, so you never miss an opportunity to say flushable wipes are not flushable. So, yeah, it ruins our infrastructure. Please, if you feel the need to use them, throw them away and not down the system. Great use of your time, Mr. Fernando. That message alone is worth it this evening.
Well, technically they are flushable. That's the problem.
Yeah, and with among other things, yes.
They don't work well with the system at all.
Yeah, don't flush them. Yeah. Are there any questions or comments from members of the council before we open the public hearing? Yeah, Councilmember Diaz.
Do we have any kind of a warranty on this $90,000 repair?
Yeah, these pumps usually last about 25 to 30 years. So these are actually original pumps, and we keep repairing them. So hopefully they will last the lifetime of the lift station.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions or comments? All right, this is a public hearing. Would anyone like to address the City Council on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing, bring it back to council for a motion, possible motion or discussion. I would like to applaud you, Mr. Fernando, and your team for being innovative and looking at alternative solutions. This is saving about $160,000 if this was to pass today. So thank you for bringing those opportunities forward for us.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Dolan?
If you want, I can add a ban to all flushable wipes in this ordinance that we want to do. All right, I move to approve the purchase of repair services for the Bombay lift station pump from DXP Enterprises, Inc. in the amount of $90,000.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Dolan, a second from Councilmember Moses. Is there any additional discussion? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. Vice Mayor Lynn?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Item 8 is our call to the public. This is where citizens have the opportunity to address the City Council on items within the jurisdiction of Lake Havasu City. As I mentioned earlier, we can't have two-way conversations, but we can listen intently. We do ask that your comments be directed directly to the council, and there will be a light indicator box on the screen. You'll have 3 minutes, and the light indicator will count down. You don't have to sign up, but we did have a few citizens do so, so we'll start with those, and then we'll open it up to anyone else that would like to address the City Council. So we'll start with Mr. Stephen Sinke.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, Council, Mayor, R2D2. Oh, he's right up there. My name is Steve Sinke. I'm a 46-year resident of Lake Havasu and now retired after a 34-year career from a local utility company. I'm also the president of the Lake Havasu Symphonic Winds, which is a nonprofit musical organization that performs 3 concerts per year at the Lake Havasu High School Performing Arts Center. As part of our publicity, we hang a banner in Wheeler Park prior to each concert. We were taken by surprise in February when we were informed that starting in 2025, a $51 banner hanging fee would be imposed for each occurrence. We've been entertaining the people of Lake Havasu City since 1999, when the late Maestro Wes Humphrey founded the organization. We've never incurred a fee for banner hanging until now. We would appreciate any relief from this you might be able to provide, as it puts a dent in our already fragile budget. As a 501c3 nonprofit, the Symphonic Winds have donated thousands of dollars to the Lake Havasu High School band boosters and scholarships to students who wish to pursue their music careers. In about 2 weeks, we will be wanting to hang another banner in Wheeler Park to promote our upcoming April 6th concert. We really don't want to pay another $51 fee. With 3 concerts per year, this is $153 less than we will be able to donate to our music youth. We respectfully request that you rescind this fee. Thank you.
Thank you. The next citizen that signed up to speak is Barbara. I'm sorry, I don't have a last name, but good evening and welcome. Yeah.
We went through this before too. You couldn't pronounce it anyway. It's Barbara Archambault. I've been here almost 50 years, and I wanted to talk about I saw the article Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. City seeks public input on 8 proposed names for the new park. Well, I've already been here twice on this. And when I saw, as of Tuesday afternoon, Main Street Commons had the most votes. And when I saw that, I called Michelle Lynn right away. And I said, Michelle, that is not right. And this is what I explained before when I was here twice before. A common is the center of the town. It's always named after the town or the city, never a person, place, or thing kind of thing. All right. So the appropriate name would be Lake Havasu Common, singular. It is always singular. It's a common meeting place. And what is so perfect is for years, that place has been the common meeting place for everybody, you know, whether there was something going on there or not. People put out their little picnic blanket and had a picnic even. So I just, number one, in this article, there was no way to contact anybody because it says city seeks public input, but there's nothing there, So, and I'm looking at some of these, as far as like a plaza or a place or a square, those things can be anywhere in town. A common can only be in the center of the town. It links us up with our British roots, our English roots, London Bridge. In England, Wikipedia, that's what I did. Wikipedia'd it. And I thought, oh yeah, I knew it had to do, because I'm from New England and we've got a common everywhere. Boston, Cambridge, Lexington and Concord. Does that ring a bell with anybody? Okay. So anyway, first of all, that is like just so in an error, a definite error there. So that has to be corrected. To have a common, it should be Lake Havasu Common. It sets us apart from anybody else around here. Nobody has a common, and we can have a common. And it puts us right in line with our British roots kind of thing. Okay. That's that.
Thank you.
Oh, P.S. Could you put a bigger ad in here for these council meetings here? Yeah, I mean, I couldn't find it, and finally I did, but I'm shaking like a leaf. Anyway, that's just a side note.
Barbara, stay after the meeting. Come see me, or make sure we talk. Okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. Thank you. Would anyone else like to address it? That now concludes speakers that signed up. Anyone else would like to address the city council during call to the public? Please make your way to the podium and state your name for the record.
Robert Fisher. I'm a resident here. I'd like to comment on the drag racing that happens at the corner of Lake Havasu Boulevard and Kiowa on the northbound lanes. There's 2 lanes approach the intersection at the stop sign, and the arrows on the street allow the right-hand lane to proceed forward or turn right. But typically, when 2 cars are there, there's a drag race to see who gets in front. Is there something the traffic people could do to maybe alleviate some of that conflict there? It would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
Good evening, City Council. I had this really cool idea the other day, and I even mentioned it to somebody at a grocery store recently. I wanted to make a suggestion that the city put up signs throughout the town on the highways and on some of the main streets, like maybe Lake Havasu Avenue in Kiowa, instead of saying, drag races available, take the right lane. Maybe you can put up some signs that say, hey, slow down, take your time. I've noticed when you go driving on county roads, they have a sign that says, just be aware, drive safe, be focused. And a lot of people, when they get on the streets, at least it feels to me, maybe it's just me, But it seems like people get really angry when they're driving. People aren't driving fast enough. Maybe I'm the one who's angry and not, people aren't driving fast enough. I came up with this saying because of that, is that when there's somebody in front of me who's going really slow, below the speed limit, and I'm trying to go at least the speed limit, I keep reminding myself that at least I'm not in a horse and carriage. At least I'm not in a horse and carriage. At least I'm not in a horse and carriage, and I don't have to clean up horse poop. But the thing is that when people are driving on the highway, that maybe they forget to drive safer, to drive kinder, and just let people pass you. Let people come out in traffic. The 1 second that you're not being mean to the person in front of you and you're not cutting somebody off, you actually save yourself time in the long run, because if you just let them go, they're gone, and then you get to follow. But if you're sitting there trying to fight with them, you're busy wasting your time arguing with somebody, and you're angry, they're angry, and you waste a lot of time being angry. So I was just thinking, in Pittsburgh, I believe it is, there's actually what they call a kindness zone, and they have be kind signs for driving. Maybe we could copy some of that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening again. Didn't have much luck on the courthouse. The bridge. I'd like to have a report on the bridge. I'd like to hear what's going on. Also, I'd like to have a report on the roadway that they're going to put across there and where it's going to come out on the other side. If there's any definite plans. I heard they weren't going to have a roundabout, and they were going to have a roundabout. It'd be nice if they, maybe at the beginning of the meeting, we have a little reminder where the bridge is at, because it is kind of an important thing for the city. This is, I think it's very important. I'd appreciate it if you'd give us an update on where we're at with the Freedom Bridge. I was going to call it the Don Wisdom Bridge.
Thank you, Mr. Wisdom. You got a personal update 2 weeks ago. I see you on every meeting is what you're asking?
Missed that one.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so I'm a little nervous here, so I'm going to do my best. I kind of wrote everything down. I surely appreciate everyone here. Very impressed. We have a very distinguished council, so and I appreciate the captain being here as well. I have something that's bothering me. I've lived here for about 8 years. Moved from Southern California out here. I've coached Little League, have a business here in town, and this is something very passionate to me. So one of the main reasons we moved here, I think most people move here, is the joy of the outdoors, kind of our constitutional culture. I think those are all factors. And my reason for addressing this council tonight is I think there's some issues on some local ordinances that impact not only myself, but a lot of people in the community, I think, can become victim to these holes in these ordinances. And I also believe that it's not providing the city the proper use of these ordinances and what they were intended to do. So what I would like is my ordinance of concern starts at 6.04. It's titled under animals, and this goes through section 6.24. At the appropriate time, I would like for you guys to go ahead and review this. I think there's some possible violations there on the 5th, and I don't mean to throw that out there, but on the 5th and the 14th Amendment, I also believe there's some contradictions with state law on how this is being worded. And ultimately, my whole goal of this is just to work together. I think this is something that we can fix, and I would like maybe a month from now for this to be on calendar. I have a very large amount of supporters that would like to come voice our opinion on these ordinances and point out the discrepancies and give you guys some examples to where I think it can be used negligently. Besides that, I appreciate everybody's time here on this matter, and I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the city council during call to the public?
Steve Sinke again, real quick on the issue I spoke about earlier. I do have a request number issued to me by your software, I believe, of 4380. So if you need, anybody needs to revisit that, it should be in your software.
Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and close the call to the public. Next item on the agenda is our current events. Are there any council committee reports? All right, item 10, our future meetings. Our next meeting will be on Tuesday, March 25th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. It'll be a regular meeting. And then on Tuesday, April 8th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m., we will also have a regular meeting. Item 11, are there any future discussion items? Item 12, we are adjourned. Thank you for being here. Be kind. We'll see you next time.